Welcome back, everyone, to the weekly Armchair Sports Talk podcast. I'm your host, Keane, here this evening, and as always glad to be joined by a very special guest in this channel, and I'm joined by one of my favourite people who covers Manchester United, joined by Webby from the Webby O Neill podcast. Webby, first of all, welcome to the channel. How are you today?
Yeah, not bad. Enjoying a bit of this Salford sunshine, getting it before it disappears. It don't last long down there, so I'm making the most of it. Yeah, all good, thanks.
That's good, and delighted to have you on, and yeah, absolutely right. So getting that sunshine in Salford, because it's not often you get it at all.
No, a couple of times a year if we're lucky. No, it's been beautiful today. Obviously, it's crap fair for next week as well, so enjoy it while it's there.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Webby, we've been talking previously just in terms of like cover Manchester United and stuff like that. Really wanted to get you on in terms of talking about your own background covering United, because you do have your own YouTube channel,
Yeah.
Webby O Neill YouTube channel. I've seen a lot of your videos. You do a lot of great stuff there. You get former players on, not just from Manchester United, but you've also had even Jamie Carragher on your channel as well, Liverpool player. And we'll speak about that in a moment. But how did you start covering Manchester United? I know you're a long-time match-going fan of the football club, but when did you start covering Manchester United? How did that come about?
Just basically, obviously, me and Tony started the channel in lockdown for boredom. Everyone was bored. Me and Tony, people who know Tony, go to the match. Character, good friend of mine, has been for years. We've been going to games since the 80s. Tony long before that. We just said, could be two lads. It's like two lads in the pub having a pint, speaking about the club they love, and it's took off really well. I'm lucky that obviously quite a lot of the ex-players personally who've come on the channel and helped us along the way. Gaddy, Paul, Ryan, Nicky. Well, not so much Nicky, Phil, and obviously I'm a mate of Carragher's as well. He's a great lad. People go, oh, he's ex-Liverpool, but let me tell you, he's a diamond. He's a good lad, and it's just gone strength for strength. I've not been on a bit through work commitments and holiday. We're back on tomorrow with Tony previewing the Liverpool game, so I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, it's been a long summer after last season, and things don't seem to be looking much better, and everyone knows I'm a glazer out. People think that I'm getting paid off him. That was a comment a bit ago. I want him out of my club. I never wanted him in the first place. 17 years ago, I want him out even more now. Doing an absolute disgrace. He's just taking all the money out of the club. The ground's falling to pieces. The team's fell to pieces. And last year, we was a laughing stock, and it hurts me, with a million miles away from City and Liverpool, and that hurts me saying it on here. And we're even further away now. What if we signed a full-back, a left-back? I'm not saying I've never seen out of the kid, but we've already got 3 or 4 of them at the club. We knew what was needed. Nothing's happened, and each day goes past. Our competitors are getting stronger. You see Chelsea buying Sterling today. City have bought well again, after winning the league. Liverpool have got a great squad and strengthened, and we're just sat twiddling our fingers again.
Yeah, it's one of them, because like obviously last season, very bad. I think when you look at all things considered, where we were the 2 previous seasons, like third and second. You'd imagine walking into that season after the summer we brought in Varane, who's a top class defender. Jadon Sancho, one of the most promising young players in world football. We brought in Ronaldo to kind of top that off. And, we speak about, I want to get your thoughts on Ronaldo in a few minutes, but like after that, like when you've seen them players come in and the 2 seasons Solskjaer built, you kind of thought, right, this is it now. We're going to, move on. We're going to get better. We're going to start challenging. It wasn't even close. But like when you look at like this season now upcoming, we do have, I suppose we're not in the Champions League. We do have a lot of rebuilding. We've lost, a lot of players on free transfers. Obviously like some Matic, Mata, Lingard, Pogba, Cavani, players like all that gone. You mentioned obviously the transfer window kind of stagnating at the moment, where like again it seems like we're deliberating over transfer fees, and it seems like again it's the same old economics kind of happening. Like when you look at the movements of Man City, obviously bringing Haaland, Alvarez, you look at Liverpool bringing in Nunes, and obviously Carvalho, and then like even Chelsea today like bringing in Sterling, and not even that, Tottenham Hotspur as well bringing in 5-6 players under Antonio Conte as well. Do you think Manchester United now we do need to kind of speed up, because I know we're in Europa League, but you have to look and you say our squad, we need to still bulk up our squad if we're to do Thursday, Sunday and be successful this season.
Yeah, I know, definitely. I look at these teams strengthening, and it hurts you seeing it. But what can we do? For me, we're the biggest club in the world. I wake up every year to start the season, and that morning thinking we're going to win the league. I'll do the same again this year. But it's hard because I look at our squad, and don't get me wrong, I'd rather see some kids coming through than us paying 50, 60, 70, 80 million pound. But there's no point. I look at Garner, had a great season at Forest,
Yeah.
But is he going to play week in, week out for us? I can't see it. So there's no point in keeping him at Old Trafford where he could go to maybe back to Forest where he could start, or somewhere else where he's going to get the run of games. We just need to strengthen the squad, And it's hard because I keep seeing this thing about John Murta working 16 hours a day. Well, what's he doing? And I don't get me wrong. I was glad we pulled out of that Nunes deal because the kids had one good season. And Liverpool have paid X amount of money, but we've got to get it right because if we don't, we'll struggle to get top six. And it hurts me saying it. It will struggle. And we got no divine rights to win the league. I've been quite lucky. I've seen great times. I worked there, the great times, the doubles, the trebles. Took it for granted every year we're going to win the league. But like you're saying, the likes of Arsenal have strengthened, the likes of Tottenham have strengthened. We've got a fullback, an unproven fullback. He could be the best fullback in the world, but it's not what we need. When I see this De Jong, it reminds me of plenty of other signings over the years where we've gone for, and it's never
Fabregas,
happened.
Schneiders, players like that.
Go and get the kid from Wolves, Neves. He's done it in the Premiership. Wolves will sell the right price. He's a decent player. He's what we need. But once again, we're messing about. And I always look at the Fellaini deal. Now, I was a big fan of Fellaini. I thought he did a job. He wasn't a United midfield player, but he did a job for us. But I can see something like that in the last day of the transfer window where we're rushing around and we're doing panic, stupid buys just to get players in. So fingers crossed. I'll make my judgment on the new man when the window shuts. But at the moment, and I'm hopeful every day when they put the TV on, we're going to sign someone. We link with him. We must have been linked with 100 players, and we signed one fullback, for £12 million, and we've sold Pereira. So what's the next spend? 2 point something million. Just not good enough at the moment. And if we don't do something which is benefits, because don't get me wrong, I don't want to buy players just for the sake. They've got to improve the team and the squad.
Yeah.
But when you're losing the likes of Matic, Mata, Pogba was an absolute clown in my eyes. Jesse, I wish him all the best. He lived my dream, local lad. He had a lot of problems. It's not worked out. I wish him all the best. But there's 4 players, and we wasn't good enough as it is without losing those 4 players. So hopefully we can speak before the season starts again, and we're both happy with what we've done in the window. But at the moment, it's very disappointing with knowing what we need to do.
100%, and you hit the nail on the head in terms of this kind of has the hallmarks of summer 2013 again. I was speaking to a journalist a couple of weeks ago here on the channel, and I said this kind of has the hallmarks of it because you have a new manager coming in. Richard Arnold's replacing Ed Woodward, so as a new CEO. Woodward replaced Gill at the time. Obviously Murta's coming in. There's new coaching staff, all that stuff in, and this screams 2013 because I remember that summer we were linked to Cesc Fabregas, we were linked to Thiago. We were linked with so many players, and we ended up with Marwan Fellaini. And look, no disrespect to Fellaini, because he did, anytime he wore a United shirt, he did put in 100% effort, and though he did play for the badge. But when you looked at the style of play we wanted to implement, Fellaini is a way different profile of player to what a Thiago at the time or what a Fabregas was. So, I think when you look at the Frankie de Jong deal, and you mentioned Neves, I think he'd be another great player to come in, not just to be different to de Jong, but to replace, to be playing alongside de Jong, because when you look at the midfields that our rivals do have, our current midfield options at the minute, with the losses of even Matic, Pogba. I know Pogba isn't everyone's cup of tea, but he's still a player that's gone from the squad. We are very low in numbers in the midfield area. If McTominay or Fred get an injury and Garner goes out on loan, we are very short. So I think we definitely need to build a midfield, and I think definitely if there's a deal to be done for Ruben Neves, I think Man United should definitely be after that one. Yuri Tielemans is available for £25 million. Like a player of his quality being available for that amount of money, like that should be a no-brainer either. But it seems like this new regime that we've been fed, like in the last kind of month or so, like Arnold doing impromptu chats with fans. You know, there's been stuff leaked from the club that John Barter's working 16 hours a day. Like, we're not seeing any of that at the moment. We're not seeing any reflection. And it doesn't look like we're seeing a proper restructure in Webby at all, because it's the same old time frames. It's the same old, like behavior from the club that we're seeing. And, when you look at Eric Ten Hag, he's a very good coach, like a very brilliant coach, and he's brilliant body of work. But the problem is he can't be a miracle worker either. He can't be expected to not add to the squad and then see improvements, in terms of league table.
No, you spot on what you're saying. He must have been promised a certain amount of budget when he come, because basically he could have stayed an easy life at Ajax, where he's under no pressure. Don't get me wrong, the Dutch league isn't a great league, but you still got to beat what's put in front of you. And he's done that successfully for Ajax. He's come over there, and obviously I like what I see, a bit of his training. It can only, but he needs the tools. There's no point in coming over there, because he's going to be under pressure straight away. Because you see the comments of Klopp yesterday about United. Was this at the airport? Was it like this when he were there? And then you seen that Ireland unveiling today, saying about United. So we're living their heads rent free, and we've not done anything for 8 years, but we're still there. We're still the biggest club in the world in my eyes, and not United fans' eyes. But these owners have got to I get like the owners about they've backed the manager, but there's some things like with Ronaldo when he first thing taking it all out of the club, going back to get that Brady, giving him one of the biggest contracts in American football history. And I look at our stadium, it's falling apart. If you went to Old Trafford 10 years ago, 8 years ago, I'd say it was still the best stadium in Europe. Now, is it in the top 10? No, it's not, because it's falling apart. And I'm quite lucky I'm down there most of the time, and I look at it there, it's looking old. It's just looking haggard, and they've supposed to brought the bloke in from Tottenham to build it. But I've been down there most of the summer, and I've not seen any work going on, only on the outside of the ground. Nothing on the inside. Now, I might be wrong. People might come in and say, they're doing this and doing that. Do we move from Old Trafford? No, I don't want to leave Old Trafford. It's special memories, not just for me, people over the years since football began. But sometimes you've got to move to stay with the times, to stay with it at the top of the pops. I look at that Spurs stadium, it's absolutely unreal. Now, why should Spurs have a stadium like that? Manchester United shouldn't, I know Spurs moved to Wembley now. If we left Old Trafford and to do it up, where could we play? We couldn't play at City because one, they won't let us, and two, it's not big enough. So where do we play? But I shouldn't be making comments like that. These should be the owners and all these big bosses at Old Trafford should have this in their mind. Not us Reds who work 9 to 5 Monday to Friday thinking about how we're going to make Old Trafford a great stadium again. But you got to get it right on the pitch first before anything else. And at the moment, I look at it then and look at some of these kids who may have to come in to start the season. I look at Alanga last year under Fergie. You would have seen Alanga one game out for 6 on the bench again, maybe a little 10-minute cameo appearance and disappeared. But he had to play because we had no one else. And obviously, the Mason Greenwood situation didn't help because none of us expected that. I look at Mason Greenwood and think he was there. We built a team around him. He's that good. But can he play for Manchester United again? It's very, very doubtful. I hope he does. People might have got me at that of what he's done. But are the Glazers going to let a £200 million asset go for nothing? No, they won't, because we know what they like. It's hard, because I look at Anthony Martial. I'm a big fan of him. But once you've been on loan, I just don't think it tastes right again coming back to the club. He doesn't want to be there. He proved that, and now he's coming back smiling. Let's see what he does in pre-season, because what they'll look at if Martial comes back and Van der Beek, it's like 2 new signings for the owners, not for us, but for the owners. Well, we got them back. We never had them last year after January, but we're in a mess, mate, and only certain people can change it. We know who they are, so the ball's in their court now. But like you're saying, season tickets sold out with record times again, like they do every season.
Yeah.
Sometimes United fans think, well, I'm not going to go this year, but you can't. It's in your blood. You've got to go every other Saturday, or you go every week to the away games. I'm going to Norway at the end of the month for the friendly game against Madrid. Really looking forward to it, and I'm thinking, who's going to be there? Who's going to be playing? Are we going to have any decent new signings in? Let's wait and see.
Yeah, and I think, look, the way the owners have run like this football club in the last 16, 17 years has been nothing short of disgraceful. And like that Super League thing just obviously topped it all off, trying to sell the club's soul. And look, thank God it didn't happen. But like when you see Real Madrid, Juventus, Barcelona, clubs like that are still trying to push the needle with that. I won't be surprised if they do kind of try to revitalize that at some stage in time. Obviously,
Oh no, listen, that will be back.
Yeah.
That will be back. They got caught out big time, and there was always talk of, instead of playing Portsmouth away on a Wednesday night, you were playing Real Madrid in a Super League. That was spoke about in the 90s, going at pub and all that. And when the Champions League reversed its thing, where, because yourself, it only used to be the champions and runners up. Now, for me, it should just be the champions, but there's too much money involved now. Real Madrid, Barcelona, and people like that, they want this. They're in that much debt, they're in more debt than us. That's where the big money is. So this will come back, unfortunately, but hopefully it'll be killed again.
Yeah, I think with the new legislation that the government put in for, I think it'd be impossible for the English clubs to kind of do that again, to break away. But again, with the Glazers, they'll always kind of find a way to try something like that. 100%. Webby, we spoke just briefly about Ten Hag and the fact he's come into the football club, and he's done a brilliant work with Ajax. Now, he's had a bit of extra time on training pitch. United did come back early for pre-season. When you look, we've mentioned a few minutes ago about the younger players coming in, and obviously, there's quite a few of them actually gone on tour. Victoria's Secrets actually has a question for yourself. He says, do you think any of your younger players will make the breakthrough this season and become regular starters?
I like Garner. I've managed to watch Garner from being 10 years of age and watch his development, and there's one thing what we lacked last year, especially in the middle of the park, the amount of times we got rolled over by teams better than us and teams worse than us, was Garner's tackle in the playoff final. Bang, straight in. We've not seen that since Keane. No messing, bang. I think Garner's got it, but like I said, there's no point in being at the club if he's going to play one game out for 5. He may have to start off the season if we don't get anyone in. I think he's unfair pressure on the young lad. Is he big enough? Is he strong enough to play for United? I'd say yeah, but gradually, maybe put him out. Say maybe at Swansea somewhere who play a bit of football. There's not any word that Forest want him back yet at the moment. Even the teams like Forest are not messing about to getting it a transfer, and we're just going to be stuck behind again. I'd say Garner. I like Garnacho. I think he's a great player.
Yeah.
Got a great future. But one thing I don't want to see is him being pushed in all at once. Getting a few bad results and the confidence goes, then the form dips. There's quite a few. Well, we won the FA Youth Cup. If they're old enough, they're good enough in my eyes. We've seen that with the class of '92. All straight. That was just a freak thing. You'll never get that now at any club where you get 4 to 5 players going into the deep end because every one of them was good enough. But there's some there. But I'd rather him go out to a club on loan if he's not going to play all the time, and bring that development up, because it'll only benefit Manchester United at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I think with some of the younger players, like you look at James like he done brilliantly at Forest on his loan spell, and again, like he actually didn't work out with Watford, but then like Solskjaer had a very big hand in bringing him to Forest. Solskjaer at home sent him out to Forest. That was one great things about under Solskjaer's reign, was actually how our loan players were being used. But yeah, like I think Garner is definitely one. If you look at our midfield options at the minute, I think you'd say he probably will get a lot of game time, considering there's 5 subs, number 1 and number 2. We've Europa League, so he'll play a lot of games. That's if he doesn't get sent back out on loan. I think you're right about Garnacho. I think he's a bit of a dark horse, like in terms of like he has that skill, he has that desire, he does have that I suppose X factor, to on the ball, off the ball, his movement, and the fact that he's getting called up to play in Argentina's fquad at 17, 18 years of age, like that shows the quality that he has. I think young Alvaro Fernandes, left back, is actually going out on loan. I think I can't wait to see what he does out and on, because he's a very, very good young player. But yeah, like I think the young players have a very good chance. Like Hannibal Mejbri, like he's another one who, like we seen when he came on against Liverpool, though he got himself about. Like he really, showed what he's about. And obviously he's done a lot of great things in the 23s. So I think Hannibal could be another one this season. But yeah, like in terms of like this summer and this kind of pre-season, Webby, what do you think? Like signings aside, because like Ten Hag wants a good core to 4 to 5 to 6 players coming in this summer. But when you look at the current crop of players and you look at the season kind of we've had, what do you think Ten Hag would be wanting to see kind of this pre-season kind of leading into the Premier League season? Because it's a 4 short weeks away, and like he's limited time to kind of get, I suppose, work on the training ground. But like in terms of like the training and the games, what do you think Ten Hag and like Steve McLaren, and what do you think they'll be wanting to see in these kind of next couple of weeks?
Well, see a bit of running. We didn't see a lot of that on the pitch. How we got outrun by most teams last year, which was embarrassing. Because some of the players can do it. I look at Marcus Rashford and I look at McTominay this year posting videos and back training and all that, and I'm thinking, why didn't you do it last year? Where was you last year when you needed to be stood up and recounted? When things wasn't going well, and you putting these tweets on, we must try better and all that, which was every week, and just a bit of battling. I'd give my right leg to wear that shirt for 1 minute, and these kids are living my dream. And I just want a bit of passion, a bit of commitment, a bit of fighting for that badge. Don't get me wrong, I'm a bad loser, but you've not got anything to win any game. But put that effort in, put that commitment in. Who you playing for, the badge, it's the biggest club in the world. Effort is more than anything. And last year I didn't see that a lot of times, and I coming away from Old Trafford there, and it was like the norm, was not winning, or looking at Watford. I look at Watford last year, who rightly got relegated. They got something like 20% of their points against us. I think they finished with 18 points, but took 4 off us. That's how bad it was last year, and we've just got to show the fight for that badge. I've been spoiled. I've seen Brian Robson in his heyday, running the team. I've seen Keane, wanting to fight with referees and other players because they love the club that much. And then I see some of these now, and some of them don't even get the shorts dirty. And I'm thinking, that whatever you're on, fair play to you deserve everything you get and you can pull from the football club. But try to put a bit of effort in, put a bit of commitment in, and make teams realise that they're playing against Manchester United and not some 2-bob pub team, which last year we played a lot of games like.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned that like effort. I think effort is a massive thing we didn't see in many games, Webby. I think there was a lot of players who weren't tracking back. There was a lot of times players are pulling out of tackles. Like the minute we go a goal down, the heads would drop. And it's a contrast to what we've seen down the years. And I think if you look at the post Sir Alex era, because I think when Sir Alex is there, like, look, it's unthinkable that a United team wouldn't put in commitment, wouldn't give up. Any team under Sir Alex, they went to the last minute, win, lose, or draw. They always did. But this team last year was uncomparable to any Sir Alex team. And I think if we look at like some of the players, like body language on the pitch was very poor. Though there was a lot of players who are of really good quality. You mentioned Rashford. I think Fernandes, another quality player, but his body language was all wrong last year. Like Cristiano scored a lot of goals last year, but sometimes he looked like he was frustrated with the situation. Like this season coming up now, like there's a lot of these players. I think there needs to be a mentality shift, not just like a shift in terms of quality, but I think mentality this year, the players are going to have to switch on, because Ten Hag's a ruthless figure. And like at Ajax, when those players weren't making, putting their shift in, putting their weight in, he got rid of them. And there's a lot of these players who did get a free ride in the last couple of years, Webby. It looks like with Ten Hag coming in, that they're in for like a rude awakening, because if he does get the backing, if the club do allow him to get rid of X, Y, and Z, there's a lot of players who were here last season that didn't put their weight, didn't do a job that they're going to be gone, whether they like it or not. And, it doesn't matter if they're on £200,000 a week or 20 grand a week, they're going to be gone.
Last chance saloon for some of them, you know. And that's what's done me head in more than anything when I've seen the likes of McTominay posting videos with his six-pack and training starts now, and I'm thinking, well, what do you do last year? And I'm not just putting it out on Scott. I might have missed other videos and posts of lads training now, and I'm thinking, you've cheated us. You've absolutely cheated us, you know. And I'll say again, you've got no divine right to win a match, but give me some effort, give me some sweat, give me some blood, you know. And I'm still not going to be happy, but I know I've come away from watching a team who's fought from the first minute till the referee blows his whistle. And last year, I might have seen that about 2 or 3 times. That was it. The rest of the time was boring, pathetic, poor, lackluster, no nothing, no passion, no nothing. And it, you know, and going out, and it was like some of the lads were just taking it for granted that, oh, what we're going to get today, 1-1. You know, I'm thinking, and half the time they were right. And it was just, for me, I just look at the start of it was a Villa match at home, all that way back.
Oh, I remember that day.
It was absolutely awful, you know, and that's no disrespect to Aston Villa. They're a mid-table team, and they deserve to win the game. And from that, it was just downhill. Then we got lifted up a bit. A couple of Champions League late victories, back down to earth. The absolute disastrous game against Liverpool at home. Then you pick up again, then down. No, but like you're saying with Ten Hag, I like what I've seen of him at the moment. And surely he's saying to the club, or he must have said to the club before, listen, I need him, you need to get him in. Because if he goes into this season with what he's got already, it's going to be a hell of a struggle.
100%. And you look at the way he wants to play, Webby, in terms of retaining possession of the ball, keep control of the game. Like with our current midfielders we have now, we were conceding possession to teams like you mentioned, Villa, Watford, not even like Norwich at home dominated in possession. To, you know, like we're at home. So I think midfield is somewhere that we'll definitely need it. I want to get your thoughts, Webby, on the Frankie de Jong saga. Because like obviously de Jong's a fantastic player. Brilliant player for Ajax, integral in that semi-final, like getting the Ajax to that semi-final in the Champions League. He's been tested at Barcelona as well, and he's obviously Dutch international, though Ten Hag would know him well. Obviously, it's like I suppose a thing that's going on the last 8 weeks, and we've been told the last 8 weeks more or less that he's coming, but like there's different complications in the deal, and obviously there's problems on Barcelona's side. They're financially there in a bit of a, best word I could use is a situation without swearing not live on air. But yeah, like what's your thoughts on the de Jong deal and kind of, I suppose, the delay with it?
What big clubs do, they go to another club and say, how much do you want for him? And they'll say 50 million. There you go. No messing. Get it done. Like we used to do under Fergie and Gill. We used to bully clubs. We want that. But I always remember the Dwight York scenario. Watching John Gregory on the telly. There's no way Dwight York's leaving the club. They'll have to shoot me. 2 days later, we signed him. Don't mess about. Look at Chelsea today. City, how much do you want for Sterling? 48 million. Bang, there you go. We messed about. We penny pin. I remember years ago, Glenn Hussein, who played for Liverpool, who United was after. You know, United was arguing over something like £50,000. Liverpool went, we'll pay it. Big clubs don't mess about. And that's what we're not acting now. We are a big club, but we need to start acting like a proper big club. Into the transfer market, get it done. Frankie de Jong, I look at him there and think, yeah, you're a good player. You play for Barcelona. It was skin. You know, Dave virtually said they want to sell him. Now, I think the fee was something like 12 million maybe, in between what we offered and what they were going to pay. The Glazers took 11 million out of the club the other week. Leave that in if that's what you're arguing about. Leave that 11 million quid in and put it to a transfer fee. And then you seen it last week. Was it Chelsea sniffing around him? If Chelsea wanted him, they'd say, how much do you want? 70 million. There you go. We'll have him. Start acting like a big club. Spend some of that money. Stop taking dividends out of the club. You know, if you've got your own business and it's not running well, you're not going to take a load of money out. You're going to leave it in and try and improve your business. But we know what the Glazers, we can speak all night about them rats. You know, we can have a show for 5, 6, 7 hours, but we know what they are. We want them out, but we need to start acting like a big club. Hopefully, this de Jong thing might happen. But if de Jong doesn't happen, go down the M6 and go and get that kid from Wolves, Neves. He's done it for the last 4 to 5 years in the Premiership. That's what gets me. Some of these players who come over to the Premiership, not just United, other clubs, they've got this great reputation. They can't settle. I look at Van der Beek at Ajax, superb, struggled at United. Will De Jong struggle in the Premier League physically? Nevers won't. He's been doing it for 4 to 5 years at Wolves in a successful team, and he knows that the bid can be there. You said about the kid Tielemans at Leicester. He's done it last 2 or 3 years. The kid who Spurs just signed, Bazuma, quality player, 25 million, crying out what we need. Christ, we played him about 12 weeks ago. He ran the show. We couldn't get near him.
Yeah.
Go and buy him. Too late now. Spurs said, we'll have him. Thank you very much. How much do you need? 25, there you go. Bang.
That's the problem. And that's where we're haggling over deals. You mentioned the 11 million dividends that they took. Now, this is where the Glazers think they're smart businessmen. And this is what I love about this, right? The Glazers think they're smart businessmen. We'll take that 11 million dividends. Well, let's say they hold off on that 11 million dividends, right, for a couple of weeks and let that go towards the De Jong deal, right? De Jong comes in and he's a big name player, right? Brilliant player who's going to suit Ten Hag's system. But if look at the way the Glazers think their ideology in terms of selling shirts. De Jong would have sold that amount of shirts in them couple of weeks and they would have been able to take it anyway, in that respect. So, I think that's where, the Glazers, I think they're very brain dead. They're brain dead. And again, this is where, the business is. Webby, here's the problem. If United finish outside the top 4 another season, sponsorship is going to drop. And the Glazers' cash cow, eventually, there's going to come a point where this cash cow can't be milked anymore. So if they love their money, if the Glazers love their money, they love, raking in these millions and billions what they've taken out of the club. If they had a brain in their head, they'd actually invest and make the club successful again and make more money. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? If they're really about making money, then take off your tinfoil hat and invest in the football club, and you'll see even a bigger return on what you're already getting. But it's one of them where they want the maximum return for the minimum investment.
Yeah, and that's of course. I look at them there, and they have backed the managers. They have backed the managers, but it's the buys we've made. You look at Falcao, getting Falcao for the year. He wasn't fit. Di Maria, wasn't the right type of player for us. I look at Sanchez playing his stupid piano on the pitch. I always look at players who come to Old Trafford, not just in a Premiership, maybe European ties, and United fans are booing him because they respect him. They fear that they're going to hurt the team. I never thought that, Sanchez, when he played for the Arsenal. Thinking, I'd like him in my team. No, and I'm not just saying that sour grape because it never worked. He just wasn't the right player at the right time, but the Glazers are Glazers, It comes to the point now where it's never going to go away. Even when we were successful winning leagues and getting to European Cup finals, the fans want him out, and it's only going to raise its ugly head now. The times are bad, and I expect that first game against Brighton to see there's a protest being planned there. But the only way you're going to work them is by not doing your season ticket, and if you don't do it, someone else will buy it. Don't go in the shop and buy any stuff. There's other places you can buy your shirts from. Don't go in the ground and buy this meal deal. Have a sandwich at home or take something with you. Eat them in the pocket. Don't buy any programs.
By the way, the pubs around Old Trafford do lovely food. So, if you're up in the Blaze, or if you're in hotel football, or you're up in Tollgate, wherever it may be, get your drink and your grub up there before you go to the stadium. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
100%. And I think again, Webby, it's one of them where again, people always say to give up your season ticket. Well, you give up your season ticket, someone else is going to take it. You can't do that. Do you know what I mean? I think the way the relentless fan protests have to be there now, where not only do you have to abandon the Glazers in terms of just stuff in terms of the megastore, match day revenue, stuff like that, but you have to hit their sponsors as well. I think that's the best way to do it. But Webby, I just wanted to kind of touch on just quickly, just before we wrap up. It's been a fantastic conversation. I really enjoyed your company here this evening.
Yeah.
Just the final thing I kind of want to touch on, Webby, is Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah.
He's obviously after inheriting Juan Mata's number 8 shirt. His first 2 seasons, Webby, he really thrived, and he was getting goals, assists, and a lot of people are saying he was the best signing, post Sir Alex Ferguson. But when you looked at his struggles last season, do you think he can rejuvenate himself and he can kind of come back to being that impactful player that he was for like the first year and a half of his time with United?
Yeah, I just think last season, because of the difficulties the team were going through,
Yeah,
I seen him. One thing I hate anyone is moaning at referees and waving your hands in the air, and
yeah,
only because he was getting frustrated because it wasn't going well for him personally and for his teammates, and obviously he lost his place in the Portugal team because he wasn't playing well for United. But it happens to us all. I always look at when a player comes over, that when he come over in that January, he lifted the club, he lifted the tea lady, the ball boys, every support match going, every supporter of the club. He just lifted the club, and we put too much pressure on him. And I think he put too much pressure on himself as well by thinking, well, if I don't score these goals, who is? But I think he can reclaim it, with a bit of help around him, a bit more quality, because that's what he needs. If you get another couple of quality players around him, then takes the pressure off him, because for me, he was trying too hard. He was
yeah.
trying far too hard, and it affected his game, but hopefully, good pre-season, you know, he can come back to the Bruno that we know and we've seen in the first 2 years of his career at United.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned like this thing they're trying too hard. I think one thing I did see with Bruno last season is he was trying to play that kind of like the 50-40 yard pass every time because he felt like no one else was able to do it in the midfield. Like I think he was trying to hit that kind of Hollywood pass. He was shooting from everywhere. And he wasn't the type of player that we seen like in terms of taking the ball, taking people on. It was like almost he was just trying to ping left to right and nothing was working out. And I think like you mentioned quite rightly, his body language as well wasn't the best. But I think if you do get quality around them and you do get kind of two players, in there who can retain possession. Like if you get Frankie De Jong in the midfield with him, and let's say Christian Eriksen, like if you have two of them in the midfield with Bruno, all of a sudden you're not the only creative player there, and you can he can make the impact maybe closer to goal rather than 40, 50 yards. Because I don't know, like Webby, you go to every game at Old Trafford. He was dropping way deeper than he did in the first 2 years, and it's almost like he tried to do everything himself.
Yeah, no, definitely. I just looked at him there, and like you're saying, I don't want him on the edge of our box collecting the ball off the goalkeeper. I want him in around that space within that 15 yards outside the opposition box where he hurts teams. Hopefully, like you're saying, we get a couple of additions in, and then we can get that back, and we can. The pressure becomes off him. For me, I think he was taking too much pressure on. Like you're saying, if you get De Jong maybe or Neves or someone with quality, it does take that pressure off you. Then I look at the Ronaldo situation. When my mate texted me as an oldie, I just thought it was a wind up. I'm thinking, well, Ronaldo, I managed to see him on his debut against Bolton. I was actually at the ground the day he signed. And who's this kid? And I remember speaking to a couple of the ex-players about the game, the sporting friendly, saying this kid's unreal. If he gets his head on that, he could be one of the greatest players in the world. And I just laughed at him because he was an 18-year-old kid with a long streak of hair down. But, if he wants to go, he goes, but if you think he goes to anyone in the Premiership, his legacy at United is tarnished forever. If he goes to Barcelona or maybe back to Real Madrid, he goes with a blessing because last season, you're right, what you said, some games he was just phenomenal. He just wasn't there. And then some games he pulled us out, but he's 37 years of age. You can look after yourself and do all the training. He's still 37, and some strange decision last year when he didn't play him like Chelsea away. I found that strange. What's the point of getting Ronaldo and putting him on the bench at Chelsea away? Put him on the bench at Watford at home. I just thought it was strange. But if he goes, but obviously it looks like that he does want to go. I'll be disappointed, but I can understand his point of view because Ronaldo's not made for Thursday nights in the middle of deepest, darkest Peru. He should be in the Champions League, playing against the best even at his age. So we'll have to wait and see. But the ball's in our court. He's still under contract. I can't see one of those players who refuses to play like we've had in the past with different clubs. So let's see what brings. But if a decent offer comes in and it's not in the Premiership, I wish him all the best.
Yeah, I was kind of torn with it, but like I think the timing of it is more. I think that's more.
If it would have been June, the start of June, then gives us more chance to drop it on our toes. End of June, start of July, when the season starts in 4 to 5 weeks, is a bit and obviously he's not gone on tour, which obviously these sponsors in Bangkok and Australia aren't going to be too happy with United. You know, do you want Ronaldo there? Big bucks, big appearance, big ticket fees.
Yeah.
But let's see what happens. But if he goes, and we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, it's one of them. I think he might end up staying. I think that's what'll probably happen. I think I
don't want an unhappy player though, Keane. If he's not happy, let him go. You know, if he's going to be sulking and training injuries, you know, the last season where apparently he got put on the bench and then he turned his head round and said he was injured. You know, didn't go to City. You know, if that was true, then he should never have played for the club again. But let's see what happens. You know, I think if the right offer comes in, I think the club will sell him. Like you're saying, if he's an unhappy player, there's no point keeping him.
Yeah, 100%. I think an unhappy Ronaldo cause some massive problem in that dressing room. They need to sort this out within the next week or so, next week or 2 weeks before the season starts, and we do get, you know, a resolution from it. Webby, the final question I'm just going to ask you, and just before we wrap up, is we're not going to talk about United. We're actually going to talk about you. Obviously, like, look, you do your own channel. You do multiple interviews, you know, with like all ex-players and stuff like that. Like, what was the like most random like, you know, situation where you've had like an ex-player on and like it was one of your kind of most like enjoyable experiences, you know, speaking to an ex-player on the football club?
It's hard in a way because I know them personally. You know, they are friends and the numbers are in my phone book. So if I need to speak to them or anything, I just look at them as normal people. I think probably one of the best interviews we did was with Jamie Moore, local ex-boxer Jamie, because I'd spoke to him, but never been in his presence. You know, his knowledge of United, like Aunt Corolla, you know, you just think that, oh, they jump on the bandwagon because the dad supported United. But you know everything, you know, and the insight of him, his knowledge of United, and him showing me around his house, all the stuff he's got. And I was at that match and I went with him. And can you remember the goal? And he was a bigger stato than me, Jamie. He knew everything about matches. But the ones who are not like, I done a good interview with Tim Burgess, lead singer of the Charlatans, who's United daft like Mark Collins, you know. They love United, and this is hurting them as much as it's hurting us. What's going on at the moment? Tim texted me the other night when I was on holiday at 1:30 in the morning saying, are we signing anybody? Now, he don't really need to be bothered that. He's a successful musician, but he loves United, and he gets uptight and when we're not signing anyone. So, but I'd say that the boxing lads who, Jamie Moore, Aunt Corolla, you know, great to interview, you know, great fighters in the day, you know. Corolla was world champion, won the world champion. I was there that night in front of his own fans in Manchester. But all the lads, could you feel comfortable when I'm with him because we know each other? It's not like you're going into a room and you interviewing the most successful player in Premiership history in Ryan Giggs and you're getting nervous. He'd take the mickey out of me about something. You know, it'd be something what had happened previous and we'd have a laugh. So it's two mates in the pub having a pint, speaking about the match I'm interviewing. So I think we will have a few coming up once the season starts. We'll get a few of the lads back on, get a few more of the old players on. So looking forward to it, and then hopefully the better the season goes, the better the conversation is every time, because a lot of the time it was all downhearted, but we made a good crack out of it, you know, the best we could. You know, Scoldy's are great to have on, you know. People saying, oh, he's moaning on the telly. He's hurting as much as us. He don't like going on the telly. I want to go to United. But there's no point lying. No point you going on your channel and me going on mine and saying, there's a look at a day, won't we? No, we were rubbish. You got to tell the truth, but hopefully we get the right signings in. We give the manager time. He gets bats. Everyone's an happy channel. You know, I'm not saying we're going to win the league, but everyone's happy. And a good team makes everyone happy, makes the fans happy, makes anything to do with the club happy. So, like I say, I'll wake up on that Saturday morning, the day before the Brighton game, and say to myself, 21's incoming.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'll stay the year after till we get it, but let's see what happens. Back the manager, keep the faith, and we'll be back soon.
Yeah, 100%. And do you know what? I'm like yourself, Webby. It comes to like the first day of the season, first week, I go down to Paddy Power. I do my bets for the season. And every season I always do United to win the league and Champions League. I always do that double every season. Now, we're not in the Champions League this year, so my double is going to have to be United to win the Europa League and win the Premier League. So my double is going to be different this year. But yeah, like Joe, I'm the exact same. Like I always like I do feel the positivity. I do Joe get excited for the season. And look, as you said, like I think the conversations they're a bit harder to have when we're not successful. But at the same time, Joe, it does have to be said. You do have to, you have to say it how it is in terms of how the club is going, and like whether we like it or not, we're not where we want to be. But look, hopefully we can build back up, and I think progress this season obviously is getting back in the top four and competing for trophies. But I think more than anything, Webby, the football needs to be more enjoyable. The football needs to be on the front foot. We need to be taking the initiative in the game, taking control of the game, and then once we see that, like that's half the battle.
All I want me is to go into Old Trafford or an away game and be on the edge of my seat like I was under Fergie, biting my nails, sat on the edge of my seat, standing up, getting my mate who's behind me, sit down. And last year I was champion the snake on my phone. I was that bored in the games. It was terrible. Some games I was trying to get out at half time because I was bored, and that's not me. I stayed in there when City beat us 6-1 till every last player walked off the pitch. Because that day they showed a bit of commitment, a bit of fight. At 3-0 down and 10 men, we went for it. But last year, Christ, I've never been so bored in my life. Hopefully it was a one-off season, and some of these players know now they're in the last chance saloon. A couple of the clowns have left. So we'll be back, don't worry. We'll be back with Manchester United Football Club, the biggest club in the world, and we shall return, believe you me.
And on that, Webby, I'm going to wrap it up on that because I hope we do return. And look, thanks very much for coming
anytime, mate. Anytime.
It's been a fantastic chat. I've really enjoyed your company. And look, hopefully we can speak later on the season. And hopefully,
definitely.
We're talking about successful times. But thanks everyone else for listening live as well, and who are listening on the replay as well. Don't forget to hit that like button and also subscribe to the Weekly Armchair Sports Talk. And also do check out Webby O Neill YouTube channel. It is in the video link description as well. But until then, guys, thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you later on in the week.
Cheers.